Twitter rebrands NPR's account as government-funded media after backlash. I don't know why they changed it in the first place. Everyone knows that NPR is government ran media, and it definitely has a left bend to it. Even though they try to pretend that they're not biased, but we all know NPR is biased. Um, and I'm glad that Twitter actually um, restated that brand, so everyone knows that NPR is government funded. But before we get started, go ahead and hit that like button, share this out so we can get this information out there. Subscribe if you're not already a subscriber, and hit that alarm bell so you know when I'm putting out new stuff. Also, check out my link tree in the description. It has a link to my Patreon where I talk about things I can't talk about here. There's also a link to my Instagram and my merch store where I have I Will Not Comply t-shirts as well. So check that out as well. All right, let's talk about this news. Twitter has removed the U.S. State affiliate media label from National Public Radio's official account and has instead replaced it with government funded media. The change was made after the social media site was widely criticized for giving NPR the designation. Defenders of NPR, who were angry over comparisons to other state run media such as Russia Today and China's Xinhua News Agency, noted last week that while the station does take some funding from the government, it has full editorial independence. So they say. But the Post has sought comment from NPR. Twitter CEO Elon Musk tweeted last Wednesday that NPR met the site's definition of state-affiliated media as outlets where the state exercised control over editorial content through financial resources, direct or indirect political pressures, and or control over production and distribution. John Lansing, NPR's president and CEO, issued a statement which read, quote, "We were disturbed to see last night that Twitter has labeled NPR as state-affiliated media, a description that, per Twitter's own guidelines, does not apply to NPR." Yes, it does. Quote, they go on to say, quote, "NPR and our member stations are supported by millions of listeners who depend on us for the independent, fact-based journalism we provide," Lansing said. Yeah, right. Independent fact. Yeah, right. We all know they're biased. We all know NPR is biased. They definitely have a left bend, no matter how much they try to say the opposite of that. But and he goes on to say, quote, "NPR stands for freedom of speech and holding the powerful accountable." Again, as long as the powerful is on the right, that's who the ones who they hold accountable. But David Gura, an NPR correspondent, posted a side-by-side comparison of Twitter's policy, which was apparently edited to remove mention of NPR as a media entity that has, quote, editorial independence. Quote, "Yesterday, Elon Musk's Twitter labeled NPR state affiliate media, even though the company's own policy stated the organization shouldn't be labeled as such because it has editorial independence," Gore tweeted. Hours later, Twitter removed the reference to NPR in the policy. It is unacceptable for Twitter to label us this way, he goes on to say. And Twitter has now run afoul of another public major outlet, the British Broadcasting Corporation, which was labeled by Musk's site as government-funded media. Again, I think those labels are correct. They are funded by the government. But in response, the BBC said it had contacted Twitter to resolve the matter as soon as possible. Quote, "The BBC is and always has been independent. We are funded by the British public through the license fee," the BBC said in response to Twitter's designation on Monday. Musk later tweeted that he viewed the BBC as one of the, quote, least biased media outlets. He also suggests that he would speak to attach a label that more accurately describes the news service. In an email to the BBC, Musk wrote, quote, "We are aiming for maximum transparency and accuracy. Linking to ownership and source of funds probably makes sense. I do think media organizations should be self-aware and not falsify claims the complete absence of bias," Musk wrote. "All organizations have bias, some obviously much more than others. I should note that I follow BBC news on Twitter because I think it is among the least biased. I can agree with that. I can agree with that. But each British household is required by law to pay $200 annual fee, licensing fee. These funds are then used to support BBC's news service as well as its assortment of radio and online programming. Musk has made combating media bias a key plank of his stewardship of Twitter, whose previous management suppressed the sharing of the posts reporting on Hunter Biden's laptop, which I've done tons of videos on in the weeks and months leading up to the 2020 presidential election. So there you have it, folks. Again, I do believe the BBC is government funded. I do believe that NPR is government funded. I don't see anything wrong with those labels to let people know that your government dollars actually help support these media organizations. But let me know what you think. Leave your comments down below. Like, share, and subscribe. And check out democrepublics.com for the latest in news. Until next time, peace.